Hey everyone, I'm back one more time to give like a honest review and like an in-depth like retrospective review of Prime 4. Um, Originally I was just gonna tack this on at the end of the highlights reel. You know, figured hey, let's just do like a 10 like the 15-minute video and then like of just me reviewing the game and you know just have that like tacked on at the end. But then like I did one take of this and it ended up being a 50-hour video, so it's like, okay, I may as well just make this a whole separate thing because I love Metroid Prime, like, a lot. Like, the series has been, like, amazing, and I've been waiting for this game for 9 years, and I figured, like, I really just gotta get my thoughts out because there's a lot, that they did wrong in Prime 4, and I don't know. I just want to get my thoughts out because, like, I was really looking forward to this game and it disappointed me in so many ways. Um, it's not a great game. It's kind of a good game, kind of. It's not bad. I can say that much with certainty. It's not a bad game. It's okay. Like, a little hesitant to call it good after thinking back on things. Not bad, just okay. So I got done, like, editing the highlights reel the day before yesterday. I'm gonna go upload it to YouTube probably later today. But, after getting done with the game, I started, like, writing down notes on, like, all my thoughts and feelings, thinking back of, now that, I've played through the game and had time to, like, actually just process it. I took notes on, all the good, the mid, and the bad parts of the game. Kind of adjusted it, over the past, like, 4 or 5 days, just, like, thinking things over, and over this week, I also, like, started looking at other reviews on YouTube about, like, over Prime 4 to see, like, what other people thought of it. Because, like, what I do know is that when Prime 4 launched, there were a lot of mixed reviews over a lot of stuff. I kind of tried to stay away from a lot of it because I didn't want to get spoiled on stuff because, well, most reviewers are pretty good and will, like, either give spoiler warnings or not bother doing spoilers at all. Some reviewers, like, still like to just drop, oh, by the way, this character dies and whatever, and it's like, well, thanks a lot. But yeah, for this review, I'm going full on into spoilers, so if there's anyone out there who actually watches these videos and cares, spoilers for Prime 4. I'm just also gonna read off my notes just to make this easier for me, because I can be very long-winded and say a lot of ums and ahs, and I'm not a great public speaker, but Prime 4, the good, the mid, and the bad. Overall, solid game, but not as great as the first 3 Primes. Probably the least replayable out of the series, and the worst of the good tier Metroid games. Still leagues better than the other M and other games of that caliber. Yeah, like, it's okay. Like, it's not a bad game. Like, I would, I was like, would I recommend it? And I'm sitting here thinking, is like, would it depends. Like, I feel like it would depend on, like, are they a hardcore Metroid fan? Are they a huge stickler for, the Metroid formula? And it's like, oh, it's not a true Metroidvania. It's like, factors like that would, like, I can't give a definitive yes or no on whether or not I would recommend this game because, like, it's just, like, got that many problems. If I had to rank all the Prime games, like, up until now, Prime 1, 10 out of 10. Like, just phenomenal game, like, amazing, like, and there's not really hardly any problems I can think of it. The remastered version that was, like, released on Switch, like, just even better, just made it look, it was just so good. Prime 2, I gave a 9.5 out of 10, with the 0.5 kind of going down to Sky Temple Keys, which nowadays I kind of enjoy the idea of them because, like, I like to, I'm a completionist and I like to 100% games and I like going back through and, like, checking every square inch of stuff, but from the perspective of someone who's never played Prime 2 before and is going through the Sky Temple Keys for the first time, yeah, that I can get how they can be very frustrating, especially if, you just want to rush down to the end of the game. Prime 3 I rated a little bit lower, as in Prime 3 I gave an 8.5 out of 10. Prime 3 introduced, well, it was like a new console, or yeah, it was like introduced on a new console at the time, which was the Wii. They had, you know, like new controls and stuff, which I honestly think were pretty good. But Prime 3 also made a couple changes that I think were not the greatest for the series. Prime 3 was like a little bit more linear. And there was like a couple of the areas in Prime 3 just felt like hallways, but overall it's still a good game. Like I do enjoy Prime 3 and would still recommend it. Prime 4, God, this is a number that I've changed. You know, originally I was giving it a 7 out of 10, but Prime 4, I would give a 6.5 out of 10. Took the minor problems introduced in Prime 3 and made them worse in Prime 4, on top of introducing new problems, which I'm gonna get into in this review. Yeah, it's like, Prime 3 had some faults, you know, but they weren't super bad. You know, they were, like, passable, and it's like, okay. Like, it did kind of, like, drag things down a teeny bit, but overall it was still a very solid, very good game. And Prime 4, yeah, it was 6.5 out of 10. God, I feel bad for even... Because I'm sitting there like, God, it's like... Am I being too harsh on a series that I love to give one game a 6.5 out of 10? Because I really wanted this game to be good, and I really did enjoy this game at certain points. You can tell from the highlights, like, I was really excited at a lot of points in the game. It's like, oh wow, this is so cool, this is so cool. You know, you have to realize that that was like my first impression of it, you know, and first impressions is like, oh wow, that's really awesome, but then after playing it for a little bit, or, you know, like after, or even like playing it and then like thinking back on it a couple days later, and it's like, actually, is this actually good? And yeah, a lot of the novelty wears off like very fast. So gonna start off with the good, and then like work our way down to like the bad stuff. You know, hate to say it, but the good and the mid, you know, this like combined is still like smaller than the bad, but anyways, gonna get into it. Starting with the good. The good, like probably the biggest, most important thing they needed to get right, that is that this is a Metroid Prime game at its core. Like, this feels like a Metroid Prime game, it controls like a Metroid Prime game that we've all known and love and came to appreciate. Like, it feels like the other three games, like, while playing it. And I think that's like the most important thing that they got right, was Samus controls and moves around and feels just like she did in the first three games. The visuals are amazing, especially the aesthetic of Fury Green and Volt Forge. The visuals are like probably the biggest selling point of this game, honestly. Like, it's I mean, I played the Switch 1 version because, again, I don't own a Switch 2 yet, and it's probably gonna still be quite a while until I could get one. If at all, to be honest, because I need to save money for, like, real-life stuff. But still, like, even on Switch 1, the visuals, like, were just really, really amazing. Like, I love the visuals, like, a ton. As much as I hate Soul Valley, that was gorgeous. Fury Green, you know, which is the only, like nature-looking area of the game, is... it was just so gorgeous. And Volt Forge. First time I got to Volt Forge, I thought, I was like, oh, this is, like, really cool. It's kind of like a blend between Elysia Skytown and Sanctuary Fortress. And they gave it, like, a rainy thunderstorm on top. It looked really good, and I loved it. Another good thing, moving on. Removal of visor upgrades. Having scan and psychic visors be the same visor was good. In parentheses, made most upgrades useful. Abilities that were hardly used in past games. Dark Visor, Echo Visor, Command Visor, Ship Missiles, Grapple Voltage, Hyper Ball, Hyper Missile, Hyper Grapple. Exception of this is Super Missiles, which came in the endgame and were completely overshadowed by Power Bombs, which were obtained right after Supers. Yeah, like for the most part, like, I think they did a pretty good job of streamlining, you know, like, yeah, like the fact that there's no, like, visors, you just kind of get, like, a little upgrade to Scan Visor, which just lets you do more stuff, I think is nice, because I kind of feel like in past Prime games, the visors were like, okay, cool, like, you can switch to this visor, and then you can hardly see where you're going or what you're doing, because you need this visor just to see, like, one thing. You hit the thing, like a switch, and then you immediately go back to combat visor, because it's like, you know... It's kind of how it felt like. Prime 1 was okay in this regard, I think. Prime 2, the dark... God, you almost barely never use the dark visor, except for, like, a few platforms and other stuff. Echo visor was, like, the same deal. Like, you just used it, like, for 2 or 3 echo gate things, and just a few switches and things that needed echo visor, and then you just almost never used it other than that. Prime 3 had a lot of, like... Well, all of the hyper items from Prime 3, like, I get that they had to, like... They had to, like, make phazon-based stuff, but... You know, because, like, it was like, to work with the PED suit, but... like, a lot of the stuff in Prime 3 felt like just, okay, he got this upgrade, this is, like especially, like, grapple voltage and especially hyper grapple was just, like... Okay, you got this ability, now you can access this one extra area, and that was kind of whatever. So yeah, in Prime 4 they made most of the upgrades feel like pretty good and all worked out. Again, like except super missiles, which super missiles hardly had any use. There was like 3 or 4 things that needed super missiles, and then you just got power bombs right after supers, and they just overshadowed it. But yeah, moving on. Added a few neat new functions to older abilities. Control beam was really cool. Like the fact that you could like shoot while in scan visor, which, you know, control beam you can steer it around. That made for a couple really cool puzzles, and like a really fun end to the boss fight in Flare Pool, where you gotta drive your beam down its throat into its stomach, avoiding like shit like in its mouth, you know, and just to hit this final weak point. Control beam was very fun. Being able to grab morph ball bomb. I mean, I do think there was a lot of steps involving, you know, grabbing morph ball bombs and chucking them at like bomb slots like high up, but I do think that was like a really cool function. Spider ball tether nodes were really cool as well. Just being able to fling yourself around. That was really nice. The controls felt good for the most part. This is like probably, I'd say, like a really good controlling Metroid Prime. Originally I had a problem, I mean, and this is apparent like in the highlights video, I kind of bitched about it a little bit, but originally I had a problem with the lock-on free aim making your aim stick for a moment, but this is solved by changing the free aim motion threshold option. The reason, yeah, and the thing is, like, I didn't mess around with the controls a little bit at the start, but I kind of was like, I was kind of rushing through it because I didn't want to be in the options and fucking around with, like, changing settings and options for too long, because I just started the game and I was recording, and it's like, okay, I kind of just want to get to the good stuff. So I'm gonna try to, like, I'm gonna adjust my, like, controls on the fly and just make it feel like nice, and then just gun it, just go for it, and just like have a good time. And I completely missed like the free aim motion threshold option, which is when locking onto stuff, it felt like my aim would just stick to the thing. It would stick to whatever locked on, and then I'd have to like shake the controller, and then like eventually it just popped off, and I can actually free aim and not, yeah. And then for the most part, I actually had turned off lock on free aim because like I didn't, yeah. So that was my bad. The controls felt great, and yeah, that's all that I had for the good. Oh boy. Next up is the mid. Don't love nor hate these. The Viola. You know, the bike that Samus like gets and rides, which was a you know, like a big showpiece that kind of in the marketing of this game. The Viola felt good to drive. It looks cool. Had one really fun boss fight in Flare Pool, but was also the mandatory solution to the open world problem. Like the Viola was fine. Like, I actually enjoyed it. But the thing is, the only reason why the Viola exists is because they needed something to go with the open, like the size of the open world and traversing it, because with how big Soul Valley is, like walking across that or even frickin' morph balling across it would have been like such a pain in the ass. So, you know, I'm glad that, you know, they provided the Viola to us. Another thing that was mid. The Federation side characters, parentheses for flavor text. I didn't take them super seriously, felt like a natural evolution to the NPCs in 3. I don't mind having NPCs in Prime games. They were all handled well in Prime 3. In hindsight, I don't hate Mackenzie. He was just the vector used to push the game's hand-holding mechanic. This was something that apparently a lot of, from like watching other reviews on YouTube of this game, apparently a lot of people had a lot of problems with the NPCs in this game, thinking that, well, some people did, some people didn't. A lot of people had a lot of hate for Mackenzie, which I'm pretty sure is because of, the reason I mentioned, is because of the game's hand-holding mechanic and the fact that Mackenzie was, like, the way they push that, Other than that, like, Mackenzie's he's just a nerd. He's just kind of like a goofy, dumbass nerd who's just kind of a klutz, and he's just a goofball, and I didn't take him seriously. Apparently a lot of people, like, some reviews even have a term for this, like, they're, like, the Metroid, like, Prime purist, where, oh, Prime games need to have, like, you gotta be in a complete isolation and, a sense of immersion, and, like, oh, like, NPCs just take away from that, like, you should be alone, and, like, I don't really care, I don't really have an opinion, like, I don't hate or, like the whole, the whole idea of isolation. Is just, like, you're there on a mission, you're doing stuff, and it's like, I don't know, like, I never really picked up on the feeling of isolation, and, I just, it wasn't really, never been, like, a major factor to me, like, I didn't really care about it that much, which is probably why I didn't, like, really mind the NPCs much. Apparently, a lot of people also had problems with, like, how cheesy and, like, some of the lines, like, Sarge, piece of cake, red velvet cake, or something, it was, like, people, I guess, like, a lot found it, like, cringeworthy. I didn't have a problem with it, but then again, like, I didn't take anything that they really said seriously. It was just flavor text and kind of, like, added, like, character, to, like, I don't know, I thought it was fine. I thought Armstrong geeking out over Samus and being, like, a massive fangirl, I thought was very charming. As, oh, look, she's doing the morph ball. Oh, look, she's spinning around. It's like, well, yes, I can kind of get how that's a bit cringe. Like, I thought it was charming, and it's like, this, let her cook. This, hold up, let her cook. Like, she just met her hero for the first time. Like, I thought it was fine. One thing that I saw in some reviews that I do agree with, though, like, in terms of the problems with that, is Samus is a silent character, and they were, like they're talking to Samus and, like, asking her questions and, like, trying to communicate with her, and Samus, like, not saying anything or just giving a nod. She's, like, basically she's Link from Zelda, and it's just, I get it, like, they want to do, like, the Link thing. This is not the Samus from Other M, she doesn't, like, openly talk or anything. But, I don't know, like, some people were saying that, like, oh, Samus should have, like, be given dialogue or talk, and there's a part of me that's just thinking, like, they should have just, like, made the writing a little better, so, like, they should have, like, done the writing in a way so where they acknowledge Samus but don't, like, ask her questions, or don't, like, have, like, they don't talk in a way that would require Samus to, like, speak instead, or, like, have to give, like, some affirmation, like a nod, or just, I don't know, like, I do agree that part did feel a little bit weird. They got around this problem in Prime 3 by just making Samus kind of just be, the end, like, the character that people just talk at, and they don't, like, ask for, there's not really dialogue. She's just given orders, like, because I'm just thinking of some example, like in Prime 3, at the opening of Prime 3, where Admiral Dane is just giving you, like, the mission and the lowdown, and also, on top of that, Samus is also one of, like, 4 bounty hunters there who are all being spoken to at once, getting the briefing. And then, other than that, then the other bounty hunters, how they interact with her, they have lines they say to her, and then they just rush off and do their own thing. It's like, yeah, Prime 3's dialogue was written in a way where it doesn't expect, or doesn't require Samus to really speak or do anything like that, and Yes, like Prime 3 handled this like a lot better, but I do understand, you know, why a lot of people didn't like the Federation characters, and it was, again, I didn't really have a problem with it. They were all like written well. Like Mackenzie was just a goofball. Yeah, Sarge is probably my favorite, and yeah, I didn't really have a problem with any of them. And that ends the mid, which then takes us to the meat of this review, which is the bad. Starting with the worst of it, the open world was boring and did not need to exist. This was, yeah, this was like easily the worst part of the entire game, was just Soul Valley and the open world just falling so flat. Let's see here. Again, just reading off my notes here because, was mostly empty aside from green crystals, shrines, and GF wreckage. Most shrines and GF wreckages needed mid-game to end-game items to loot. Finding green crystals was the only reason to check every bit of it. The rewards were not worthwhile. Mandatory to get the memory fruit. Kind of going off of that last point a bit. I didn't really feel like the frustration that a lot of people did, because apparently like a lot of people, like, you know, in reviews that I've watched, they just didn't go for 100%, you know, they just kind of just did their own thing, just playing it like their whatever pace, collected some power-ups along the way, and weren't really concerned with 100%ing, just to go to the end game and then find out that, oh, you gotta collect every fucking green crystal just to, you know, get this memory fruit, which, and, yeah, like, I would imagine if you didn't collect, like, green crystals throughout the game, and just at the end hear that, oh, by the way, you need this last thing that needs green crystals. How many do I need? All of them? Yeah, I would feel very... like, I honestly think that's even worse than the Sky Keys from Prime 2. Like, that's just... ugh. Yeah, I would be so frustrated. Last note on this. While it sucked, at least it was tried for one game. Hopefully it won't be put in Prime 5. Yeah, just everything about the open world. It was empty, it was bleh. There was not really... I mean, there is, like, music for it, but... it was just... like, the only good thing that Soul Valley had was that it was pretty, you know? But, you know, that wears off, you know, after just being in it for, you know, 30 minutes or whatever. It's like, because you're gonna be driving in this desert, like, for several hours... and it's just, ugh. Yeah, and like, kind of going off my last point, for at least it was tried for one game. I'm wondering if, you know, I don't know if, like, if having Soul Valley be a whole open world thing was something that Retro Studios decided to do, or if it was Nintendo being like, oh, hey, we gotta make everything open world. Breath of the Wild was, like, such a huge success. We gotta try to make every game, like, open world. It's like... We gotta like do like in Mario. Let's make a level that's like wide open. And, like, they literally had a desert level in Mario that felt really massive, but that again feels so bad. Then they had like Pokemon with both of the Legends games, Legends Arceus and ZA. A little bit in Sword and Shield, and then all of Scarlet and Violet were open world because, you know. I mean, it's not like Breath of the Wild even like pioneered open world, because we've had Fortnite for a while. And I guess if you want to count Minecraft, but yeah, it's like, and I mean, I could see like a lot of people, you know, like wanting to, you know, people get like into a craze of like, oh, open world is like the new in thing. Like, we gotta have open world games and shit. I could definitely understand, you know, like a lot of people like wanting to see, you know, what open world could be like in a Metroid Prime game. So in that sense, I am grateful that they gave it a try. I do think that, you know, there was a lot of problems that you know, could have, you know, been fit. Like, they could have done more with it. I don't know if an open world kind of thing would even work in a Metroid Prime game, considering how Metroid tends to be in Metroidvanias, and like the way like they're designed. I don't know if open world would like work for this kind of game with what it's supposed to be, but I'll give them credit for actually giving it a try, because if they didn't try it in this game, they like probably would have been pushed to like, oh, please do it in like Prime 5, and you know, people would probably keep pushing it, and then Prime 5 would have been shit or what. I don't know. It's just, I'm grateful that they tried it, but I feel like most of the problem, you know, actually just sitting here thinking about it, I feel like most of the problems in the game, most if not all the problems in the game can be traced back to Soul Valley, you know, and the whole open world thing. But yeah, moving on. Mech parts being Prime 4's endgame keys, parentheses, artifacts, sky keys, power cells, were too easy to find with all of them being in Soul Valley. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, I'm just gonna keep reading down. Would have been nice to force a little backtracking to old areas. Prime 3 did it best, requiring only some power cells to reach the pirate code to access phase. Prime 1 did it well. The remastered version gave more clear hints. Prime 2 sky keys on the first playthrough were bleh, being very vague / cryptic and requiring a lot of backtracking. Will likely get fixed if remastered. Yeah, it's like, I didn't really hate the whole, like, mech, like, hunting down mech parts. Like, that was, like, part of the end game. It's like, okay, cool, you got all these, like, all the end game upgrades and all this other stuff. Let's go all around Soul Valley and just check out everything, and now that you're able to access everything, which... It's in the area that you have access to very early on, and it's, like, from the early game, like, early in the game, if you like try to go exploring around, which is what I did, like, before I even went to like where you're supposed to go. Once I got access to Soul Valley, I probably rode around the desert for like an hour just checking stuff out. Of course, the problem being is that you can't really do anything because everything needs mid-game to late-game like power-ups to even interact with. So it's like everything you came across, like, you can't do anything with, and that kind of just like really killed a lot of like the idea. Like, oh well, why am I bothering checking any of this, you know, until the very end of the game, which I guess they tried to push, you know, with the mech parts. But yeah, like, and the thing is with backtracking as well is, I do get that backtracking, like, in a sense can be very annoying to some people, but it's kind of necessary in a Metroidvania type of game, like Metroid, you know, because it's just, I mean, it's a thing that just it doesn't, like, mesh well with open world, I think. You know, and there's a way to make backtracking, you know, like, there's a way to get around the backtracking problem by just making it, you know, it's like, oh wow, like, here's a brand new, like, you backtrack this one area in a previous area you visited, and you go through this one door, now you have this power-up, and it just unlocks a whole brand new area. Like, yeah, it's, yeah. Moving on. God, I'm just reading ahead here. The hand-holding parts of the NPCs constantly telling you where to go or what to do. Oh god, yeah, that was literally just getting back to Soul Valley after getting, you know, leaving an area, and then Mackenzie pops on the radio. It's like, hey Samus, you should totally go here and do this, and, you know, just hearing me go is like, okay Mackenzie, shut the fuck up. Hey Mackenzie, what's 1 + 1? 2? Wow, that's crazy. I really need you to tell me now, what's 1 + 2? 3? Oh my god, okay. And it's like, oh my, it's like, yeah, it's no fucking shit. Like, shut the fuck up and let me drive around, or just even driving around the desert for like an hour or two and having him chime in every 30 minutes telling you the same shit, and it's like, hey buddy, I know where to go. Like, shut the fuck up. I'm Breath of the Wilding right now. I'm exploring the open world. Get off my back, please. Like, shut the fuck up. It was like not fun. Sub note. Prime 3 did this a little bit. The hint system in the first 2 games was the best, just enough info to give players a goal location to reach. I feel like, Prime 3 did a little more hand-holding, partially because it was on the Wii, which was a console where almost every effing game under the sun that came out for the Wii leaned super hard into the whole hand-holding bits, because I feel like the Wii was like the first console for a lot of children at the time because it was such a huge deal, and hey, kids need help with shit, let's just fucking tell them what to do. And there's a part of me that thinks that part of like the handholdy bits in Prime 3 like were a result of the pressure from that, but also like on top of that, also because there was like NPC, a lot of NPCs and other stuff. You know, Aurora Unit 313 was the final boss. What was it? 242, I think it is. Yeah, like whatever. Aurora Unit like would call you and chime in and just she wouldn't like tell you like where to go and exactly what to do and here's how you get there. They would just kind of give you like hints of like where to go next and like what the next overall like macro objective was, and I think that was fine. Yeah, the hint system in the first two games is the best, just enough info to give players a goal location to reach. So the way the hint system worked in the first two games, and I mean, and it was also like in place in Prime 3 as well. Basically, like you're playing through the open world, like you gain like a major power up, like Morph Ball or Ice Beam or something, and then you like play through the game and you don't collect anything, or you don't really make any progress or like do anything. Like you don't make any like meaningful progress in the next hour. You'll get like a little like notification that says, "Hey, there's something weird going on in this area," and then you open up the map, and it shows you the location of the next power up. It just gives you like a goal location to reach, and that's it. Doesn't tell you like how to get there, what to do, what it is, what to expect. It just gives you like, okay, you've been wandering around for like 1 to 2 hours and haven't found anything. Try going in this direction, you know, and that was it. Like that's all you really need for a hint system. Like, you know, it doesn't kill the immersion. It doesn't like just water down like the whole experience. Like, and you can choose to ignore it, and then you get another hour or like 1 to 2 hours just to wander around without being interrupted. And I think that was fine. Probably, honestly, I would say like if you were just wandering around the desert for like an hour, like I feel like the Mackenzie hate would probably be a lot less if he didn't immediately chime in the moment you got back to Soul Valley saying, "Hey, you should go here next." Like, I think a lot of the hate would go away if instead he waited for like an hour and a half before like calling you. But again, like you can just wander around the open world for a long time just checking stuff out and still know where to go. It's like, again, like like another reason why I think open world probably just doesn't, you know, vibe well with this type of game. Anyways, next point. All of the areas were completely disconnected and forced traversing the open world. Oh, this one was pretty bad. This is... Honestly, I probably should have moved this further up the list. I mean, like, also everything that I'm saying in order just wasn't really, you know... It's not, like, in order of, like, worst to, like, best or best to worst or anything. I just happened to put Soul Valley up top because that was, like, the most glaring problem that this game had. Yeah, all the areas being disconnected. This is a big one for me that really kind of just, like, The areas in general also just kind of felt smaller compared to like past Prime games, like Fury Green, Ice Belt, Flare Pool, Great Mine. Like overall, just felt like smaller than Talon Overworld, Chozo Ruins, Magmore Caverns, Fendrana Drifts, Phazon. They just felt smaller, and especially smaller in Prime 2. Well, Prime 2's area there was fewer areas in Prime 2. You had Temple Grounds, Aegon Waste, Torvus Bog, Sanctuary Fortress, and that was it. But also the Dark World stuff on top of that, which kind of added a whole new layer to it. But yeah, like, the areas in Prime 4 just felt smaller, and it was just... They were all disconnected, and probably the thing that really... is like, you didn't really backtrack to those areas, like, to get stuff very much. Like, you probably only visited each area like once or twice, and that was it. Like the first time you go through the area, like you explore like 70 to 80% of the whole area, and then the second time you just go in to get one more little power up, and then you're gone, and then that's it. Like they're just, yeah, it's just, they were completely disconnected, and it's like if they had all the areas like interconnected like they did in the first 3 games. Well, Prime 1 and 2 at least, you know. Prime 3 handled it a bit differently by, you know, having the ship, which technically speaking, basically anywhere where your ship could land, it could connect to any other point in the game where your ship could also land. You know, anywhere where your ship can land, it connects to every other point in the game where your ship can land, and that was kind of like a lot of interconnected, you know, in a way. But yeah, the areas weren't really connected, and for me, that kind of just, I don't know. This, for me personally, and this is also kind of why I really love doing challenge runs of the Pikmin series, is because you can figure out, okay, I can get this power up here and then go here, and like just doing routing for like in the end game of like, how do I want to go like to here to here to here to here, and just planning it out in advance of, I want to go here, pick this power up, go to this transporter which takes me to this other area, and then I can check out this area and get these collectibles. And I don't know, like that's part of like what I really love about, you know, having it all connected is like, it makes routing very fun and interesting, and also just, you know, like you can just pop in and out and like just go where you need to go, and just having, you know, all of it just be disconnected was just, ugh. Oh, like, yeah. Kind of going into the next point. Oh, this one was also very frustrating, and again, like a lot of this I can just blame on the overworld, open world. Is the fire, ice, and thunder shots being chips, not regular upgrades on the spot, was very annoying. This only just forced the player to travel back and forth across the open world to go back to Fury Green. A sub-point to that would otherwise have no reason to return to Fury Green until the end of the game. Felt like huge chunks of padding. Holy shit, yeah, it was. Forces the player to sit through many load screens while constantly going back and forth between Soul Valley and Fury Green. Also, yeah, again, I was playing on the Switch 1 version. When you're going through the cannon, going back and forth, like, oh my god, like the load times are so long on Switch 1. Like, apparently that's like one of the big selling points of Switch 2 is like the Switch 2 just loads stuff like 4 to 5 times faster. But yeah, it's like, so you go, oh cool, I got like, you know, I immediately saw like the fire thing, and it's like, oh cool, I'm gonna get plasma beam from this, and it's like, nope, no plasma beam, just the fire chip. What do I do with this? I leave the area, go all the way back across Soul Valley, which was like a 10-minute trip, go into Fury Green, go like load into the cannon, wait for 1 minute to load Fury Green, go back to Fury Green, go into it a little bit, back to base camp, talk to Mackenzie, he gives you a cheesy one-liner, actually gives you the beam, and then you turn around and go through and like all the way back out, take the cannon back, wait for another minute to a minute and a half of load time, all the way back to Soul Valley, and then you drive all the way back to like wherever you gotta go next. It felt like it absolutely was padding, and it was awful. It was so bad. Like, instead of giving me the fire, thunder, and like ice chips, why not just upgrade your cannon on the spot, like in the past 3 games? You know, like, God, imagine. Oh my God, like imagine in Prime 3, you're going into Pirate Homeworld, right? You're like, all right, we're in Pirate Homeworld, like going into like the mining section. We're gonna like blow up their mines, have this big epic fight and stuff. There's this like there's this green looking thing in there. Here's the Nova chip. Time to go all the way back out of Pirate Homeworld, all the way back to your ship. Time to fly all the way back to Norian. Time to give the Nova chip to some fucking jackass. Here's the Nova beam. Now you turn around and go all the way back and go all the way. Like, imagine, like, that's kind of, like, if Prime 3 did that, like, that sounds frustrating. And that's exactly why it was frustrating in Prime 4. It's like, God, why can't you just give me the beam on the spot and have me go, ugh. But yeah, it's like forcing the player to drive like 10 minutes back and forth again. I mean, again, it's another reason why Soul Valley was just awful, because you were forced to go back and forth and just do a fetch quest, and it was really not fun. And it was so bad. Which, I mean, and another point is just like, I mean, I kind of alludes to what I was saying earlier. It was like, you know, when you're doing You know, it's like when you only visit each area like once or twice. Like, once you visit Fury Green at the very beginning of the game and go through it all, and once you leave, you know, and like you leave Mackenzie behind to set up base camp where you go to Soul Valley. If you didn't have to get any beam upgrades, if you didn't have chips and you got actual beam upgrades and have to go back to Mackenzie, you wouldn't even go back to Fury Green until the very end of the game. Like, you have no reason to ever return to Fury Green, like, ever, unless you're trying to 100% the game, and it was... Anyways, moving on. Most of the gameplay was super linear, and there was rarely a need to go back... Okay, yeah, this is literally what I just said. Most of the gameplay was super linear, and there was rarely a need to go back to an earlier area for a required power-up after collecting the teleporter key and leaving. The design for most rooms felt like hallways with few branching paths. Prime 3 had these issues too, only returning to Brio for Screw Attack and returning to Elysia for Spider Ball. Also Elysia being very hallway-like. As stated earlier with Fury Green, no major power-ups to get after leaving it for the first time, not counting the upgrade chips and green energy. Oh god, I forgot about... Yeah, Fury Green is also where you got the green energy rewards as well, which... Oh, green energy, that's a whole thing that... Oof, yeah, but... Yeah, like, a lot of the rooms in Prime 4 were, like, just very I mean, the whole areas in general were just, like, very hallway-like. It was just, like, a straight point from you go to one point to another, and then you turn, and then you go backwards until you leave, and then that's it. You get the teleporter key at the end, and they turn around and leave, and it's, like... I kind of feel like there's, like, hardly any room... Like, there's not many rooms in Prime 4 that have more than 3 doors. Like, it really felt, like, very, a lot of rooms were very hallway-like compared to, like, the first 2 games. You know, again, Prime 3 had these issues. Like, Elysia was probably the most... Like, for me, at least, like, the most obvious case of hallways of this zipping back and forth. But there were, like, different paths and, you know, branching stuff, and... Again, like I said at the very beginning of this, I feels like Prime 4 took the problems that Prime 3 had and just made them so much worse. Because it wasn't like a super big problem in Prime 3, but it definitely was enough to drag, you know, my rating of it down, and it was... Next point. The story. Everything involving the Lenorn and the goal of Samus trying to get home was fine. Silex was a fine choice for a villain. He was set up to be one in the secret ending of Prime 3, but he rarely appeared and we had no info on his motivations or why he was doing the things he was doing. Yeah, once again, this is a quick warning for those who missed it. Spoilers. But, whatever. In comparison, Dark Samus rarely appeared in Prime 3, but had backstory and info from Prime 2, and was the one manipulating events throughout the game. Silex is just forgotten during Prime 4 aside from 3 brief encounters, 2 battles in Volt Forge and the airship in Flare Pool. The special psychic Metroids were only seen in the opening before the final boss, and then never again. Parentheses, you never even fought them. Everything involving green energy was super unoriginal, just felt like Phazon 2.0. The NPCs assumed sacrifice in the Great Mines was fine, but it also undermined the same thing happening after the final boss. The ending was awful. Silex just comes back out of nowhere, kills everyone while Samus barely escapes. There's no feeling of victory or mission accomplished, just regrets. Parentheses, failed setup and attempt of an Infinity War ending. Oh, man, yeah. Like, it was a feel-bad ending. I really, really, really did not like the way Prime 4 ended. I hated it so much. The deaths were not clearly shown, but them dying was my implication. Plus, I doubt any of the characters aside from Silex will return in Prime 5. Yeah, considering how so many people didn't like the Federation NPCs in this game, like... I kind of doubt they'll be back. I mean, they might do something in Prime 5, like... To me, it was implied that Silex just killed them all, like, while they held him back so Samus could escape. And there's just, like, you just feel bitter and sad. And then the credits roll, and it's like, wow, what a feel... It's just a feel-bad ending, and it just sucks so much. And I just wish that... what I think would have been cool, like what would have been better is like everybody gets in the teleporter, then you see Silex come back, and then he rushes at him, but right before he can reach them, they whoosh, they teleport away, and they just barely get out alive. Because that would, you know, like, okay, cool, we got everybody home safely, but we know Silex is out there and is still a threat. And that sets up Prime 5. But without all of the, oh, feel bad, everybody died, the end. It's not like the, you know, the HP Lovecraft, and then Cthulhu consumed everybody and fuck everyone. Good game. You know, it's like, it's not a bad ending. Or it's not a feel bad ending, because, yeah. The secret ending that explains Silex's motivation and backstory was also garbage. Jesus, yeah. Was responsible for the deaths of his entire squadron by not following orders, is saved by Samus, but blames her out of spite and anger for no reason. I never earned, like, the, which, I mean, I'm just gonna go to the next point, because that pretty much covers the thing I have of the bitch about that. No longer 2 secret endings based on finding 75% and 100% of all items, just one, and 100%ing the logbook is also now required to see it, which is so stupid. Scans are missable during a playthrough, which means a file can be locked out of the secret ending at any time and be unable to view it without restarting the entire game. Logbook completion should only have unlocked things in the gallery like the past 3 games. So, yeah, like I said, I never earned, like, the 100% ending because I didn't even realize, oh, you also have to 100% the logbook. And there was a few points to where it's like, I don't feel like scanning shit, because here's, like, 20 crates that all, they're gonna say the same useless thing. And, like, I'm not gonna waste my time with it. But if you don't 100% the logbook, you don't get the secret ending, and it's really frustrating because you could, like, theoretically speaking, you could speed run, like, let's say I'm playing Echoes, right? I speed run through Echoes, and I beat the game, you know, with like 20% of items collected, and it's like, okay, cool, I did pretty good. Let me reopen the save, and like, what the hell? Like, no, I want to see the 100% ending on this file. You can just go through the whole game again, you know, just take your time. I mean, since you have all the major upgrades, you can take your time and find everything and still be able to get the 100% ending. If you want the 100% ending in Prime 4, you gotta restart the whole file. And one thing, oh my god, and one thing that they did in past games that I like, I'm pretty sure they did this. I know this is a thing in Prime 3, so I'll use Prime 3 as an example. Let's say you go through, like, the whole game of Prime 3, you scan, like, oh, I don't know, 70% of everything, and then, you know, and then you go to Phase, go through the whole, like, dungeon of Phase, you beat Dark Samus and Aurora Unit 313, and credits roll, and it's like, okay, I want to get 100% scanned so I can unlock everything in the gallery, so you start a new game. Everything that you've scanned in the previous playthrough is already pre-scanned, so you don't even have to, like, go through the effort of scanning it again. Like, you see the colors, and it's like, okay, this is green, it's already been scanned, just don't even have to bother. So you can, like, literally just open the scan visor and look around to see for anything you didn't scan, that, you know, anything that you missed. In Prime 4, you have to rescan everything. That progress is not saved at all. Like, you have to rescan fucking everything, and it is, oh, it's like, why would you make us do that when it was the case for the first 3? Like, well, okay, I know I'm pretty sure it's the case in Prime 1 and 2, but like, why did they change that? It's so bad. Logbook should only unlock things in the gallery. Like, it's so bad. Like, because that, yeah, this makes it more tedious if you want, you know, God. Small aside, because I was looking around the gallery a little earlier as well, apparently one of the unlockables, like, from one of, like, the things for unlocking some things in the gallery is, like, collecting all 100% of green crystals. And I couldn't find any on the radar from that file, and apparently I missed some, so oops. Also, another, like, kind of small, really annoying thing about that as well. So, you know how Prime 4, like, has autosaves, which, you know, in of itself isn't a bad thing, but let's say like, I completed Prime 4, you know, you beat the game, you save the game, the next time you select that file, you can just, you know, go in and you know, just start a new game. So I was sitting here thinking, it's like, okay, well, what about the autosave? Did that autosave, like, before the point of no return? Nope, the autosave literally saves, like, the moment after that when you first enter Chrono Tower, and you're just locked in the, you know, the fucking... You're just locked to the final boss. And so that's kind of bleh, but, you know, whatever. Yeah. It was... Also, it's kind of a, like, I know I don't have it written down in here, but another thing is, like, Chrono Tower, like, literally just being nothing but the final boss was kind of lackluster when you have... Yeah, it's like... I didn't like that very much. Because, like, you have... In Prime 1, you have the Impact Crater, which is, you know... I mean, it's not much, but it's, like, a little, like, area where you basically climbing up the inside of the Leviathan Seed, fighting off, like, Fission Metroids along the way. Prime 3 has Phase, which, you know, the last point, you know, you can save is right before you go to Phase. And then going into Phase is just... It's like a whole mini dungeon before you even get to the final boss. Chrono Tower is you go up... Like, you go down, like, 2 hallways, then you go up an elevator, spider ball up into the teleporter thing, you mess around with that, and then you get to go home after... And then you start the final boss, and there's, like... There's no like little mini dungeon or anything, no battles or anything leading up to Silex. It was just, ugh. But yeah. So overall, like just to cover everything I just said in that last bit with the story, the choices, like the original choices they made with like having Samus get off the planet's fine. Silex as a villain should have been more involved with the plot. He was just there, and then you forget about him, like he doesn't have any involvement in anything. He just pops in when the plot demands him, and then... Yeah, like his backstory and motivation was just garbage, and just... Yeah. And also everybody dies. Good game. Like, feel bad. Alright, enemy variety was very weak. Felt like 80% of the enemies fought throughout the game were just the Cybots and Grievers. No Metroids, no Pirates, despite being in the opening. And the most enemy variety was in Fury Green, which you almost never go back to after leaving. Also felt like way fewer bosses than in the previous Primes. Yeah, it's like the only... Yeah, it feels like the only thing you ever fought was the Cybots and the Grievers. Like... All of Icebelt was just, like, not counting the Snow Wolves, which were a whole other problem. Well, not really like, you are expected to lose that fight. Like, it is a scripted fight, but if you can survive for, like, 3 minutes, then, like, you get a pass and you get to continue. But, beyond that, like, almost the entirety of, like, Icebelt, all of the aggressive enemies were just Grievers. Like, yeah, you had these little, like, icicle bergmite-looking things that would just waddle around, and then these little, like, scarab beetle things. But, you know, like, Grievers were, like, the only, like, real threat, you know, in Icebelt, you know, and then, if it's not Griever, and then, like, God, the Great Mines, just Grievers. Oh, here's, like, a Griever Brute. You fought, like, 2 or 3 of those. And then Omega Griever at the very end, and then just Grievers. It was just nothing but Grievers in the Great Mines. It was very, very, very weak enemy variety. I hated it. Like, there should have been, like, a lot more variety in them. Enemy damage felt very unbalanced and overpowered at times, most notable for laser-based attacks. This is something I actually didn't, like... I mean, like, I noticed it during the playthrough, because, like, oh my god, I feel like I'm taking damage, but I didn't, like, actually... fully grasp, like, how bad it really was until I was editing the highlights reel and looking back and seeing the damage. Cybots being able to deal over 300 plus damage in a matter of seconds from mistiming a dodge is not okay on normal difficulty. Muscle memory is not a part of the gameplay and growth of skill like it is in Dread. Which, you know, just it makes me sit here and think, like, were they trying to be like Dread? Were they trying to be like... Because Dread is, like, a very hard game, and Dread is a game where you're expected to die a lot, because you just get blasted, but, like, part of the skill in Dread is just, like, memorizing the patterns and just trial and error until, you know, like, your reactions are, it's like, okay, I'm expecting to do this, and then you just build up reaction memory over time, and then eventually you stop dying to shit. and then you just get good, and then eventually you probably make it all the way through dead without taking damage. Prime, like, with Prime being in 3D space and the way it is, like, it doesn't work like that. So, Cybots, shouldn't be able to do, like, tons and tons. Like, it's just way too much freaking damage. It's ridiculous. You shouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, it's just... one thing that apparently, from what I heard, a lot of people had trouble with as well, was, like, the first time you even see the Cybots, like, during your first visit to Vault Forge, apparently, like, because, like, apparently a lot of people had trouble with that fight because they just died immediately because it's still very early in the game. You only have, like, 1 or 2, like, health packs, or 1 or 2 energy tanks, like, at that point, and you just get, like, obliterated, like, so fast because, again, like, they just, especially, like, when there's a lot of Cybots just running a train on Samus, just bam, 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 you're just getting blasted, like, up the ass with lasers. It just does so much damage, and it really doesn't feel okay, like, on normal difficult. Even on hard, I would argue, it's like, damn, that's a bit strong. Yeah, and then especially, God, in the final boss, too, it's like... I, like, lose half of my, like, with 100% power-ups. Well, actually, that's my next point, that I wrote down. First and second phase of the final boss felt awful. On normal and with 100% of power-ups, the first phase does so much damage for a small mistake, and the NPCs don't do a whole lot, plus the babysitting. I remember, like, yeah, just watching back when editing the highlights, watching Silex just rip through, like, 5 energy tanks in the matter of, like, 10 to 20 seconds is like, this is not okay. Like, just because, like, I'm getting hit with lasers, and there's, like, a lava pool that I missed because I'm locked onto Silex and looking up, and it's just, it was, or I don't even remember if I was locked on. I think I was also having issues with the controls at the time, so I didn't want to lock on. I don't know. It just did not feel good. Second phase, just Prime 3's Meta Ridley fight, but with less maneuverability and attacks that feel impossible to dodge. Because, like, yeah, there was when Silex, like, opened up, like, the eyeball, like, wall attack thing while you're... Like, I'm holding down on the left control stick, trying to go down to get out of the way, and I just get fucking hit. And it's like, what do? I just get hit for nothing. Like, he just spawns an attack, and there's nothing I can do to avoid getting damage, and it feels really unfair and really not fun. Yeah. Third phase of the fight, the 1v1, was the only enjoyable part, but by this point, both you and Silex are already weakened. And then as a sub-note, I felt like it was unclear on what to do when he steals your energy tank in Morph Ball form. Because, yeah, like, at the start of the third phase, he goes into his Morph Ball form, which I think is cool. He rams into you and ejects an energy tank because, they want to, like, try to, like, I guess copy Tears of the Kingdom when, Ganondorf can, like, he damages you and, like, and then just permanently erases hearts and shit if you get hit again, and it's just... I don't know. Because, like, I do remember seeing, him, like, and the energy tank was just getting towed behind him, and I remember, like, not wanting to touch it because it looked like it had, like, green, like, electricity on it, and it's like, well, if I touch this, I'm gonna get damaged, so why would I want to touch it? And it's just... Yeah, that was kind of unclear. Yeah, the third phase of the Silex fight was the most, like, enjoyable for me, but yeah, but that was, like, my second game over, because, like, I've already taken so much damage from, like, the first 2 phases. By the time I got to the third phase, and it's like, what the fuck do I even do? I'm just getting blasted. So, yeah, that really didn't feel good. Next point, fewer puzzles compared to the first 3 games. Most puzzles weren't even really puzzles. Yeah, it was just... Like, I can't even really think of, like, if you count a puzzle as, like, grapple 2 things over and then use a morph ball thing, and then, like, they didn't really feel like puzzles, like, compared to the first 2 games. Like, it was just... Yeah, it was, like, it was really weak. Next point. Laziness and or the lack of creativity in naming everything. Names of some of the areas were really bad, like Flare Pool, Ice Belt, Great Mine. Uh, green energy, parentheses, what if Phazon was just called blue energy? Yeah, it's like, I don't know what was going on with Retro, like, I mean, yeah, it's like, the naming, it's like, what, it's like Plasma Beam becomes Fire Shot. It's like, try to name shit that, like, sounds cool, you know, like, Ice Shot, I mean, like, I'm more leaning with Ice Shot because it was Ice Beam, but Thunder Shot, like, used to be, like, Wave Beam, or Electro Burst, I don't know, just try to come up with something that sounds cool. It sounds like, oh, cool, let me name, like, Fire Shot, good game. So, like, Plasma Beam, or, like, Flare Stream, or, so, like, come on, man. Oh, he's just so bad. And Green Energy. Green Energy. Like, can't you just literally give it a name? I'm just gonna call it Green Energy. I was like, hey, like, here, Metroid Prime, here's blue energy. I'm being corrupted by the blue energy. It's just so terrible. It's so bad. Next point. Lack of meaningful lore. Most major lore was found at random points in Soul Valley, you know, which again, is like, you gotta find it in the open world, and a lot of it you couldn't even access because you need, again, mid to end game items. One bit of, like, one, like, lore thing was just at a fucking dead end at the very edge of Soul Valley, hiding in some canyon behind a rock that needs power bombs. It was like, and he told, and that bit of lore was like, oh, there was 12 of us who scattered across the cosmos, and then you see, like, the camera go up and it's just you in a fucking dead end, and it's like, what the hell? Like, this is not even scenic or epic or anything, it's just... It's like Samus going into a back alley to get the backstory for all of creation. It's like, what the hell is that? It's just so... It's just off. It just felt so off and so awful. Ice Belt had most storytelling, was mostly absent from everywhere else. Yeah, it's like, Ice Belt had, you know, the storytelling of the labs, of all the Grievers being in, you know, the tubes, you know, and we, like, there's a lot of lore in that area of, like, where they're just trying to scan, you know, and they're trying to, like, that's where you find out that, you know, the Lenorn was, you know, they became Grievers because the green energy was, you know, corrupting. It's just Phazon 2.0. Jesus, I hate it. Oh, it's so bad. And then the last note that I had written here was mostly forgettable soundtrack. The only music I remember is the title theme, the music after restarting the generator in Ice Belt, and a few guitar riffs during Phase 3 of the final Silex fight. Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like, some of the music in Volt Forge was, like, also, like, pretty good. But beyond that, I can't really think of, like, if you ask me to, like, try to think of, like, a Metroid Prime tune, or Metroid Prime 4 tunes, like, I can't really think of anything other than what I just listed off. Meanwhile, if you tell me, it's like, okay, list off a theme of, like, from Prime 2 or something. By the way, I've been really wanting to play Prime 2 again, and I've been thinking about Prime 2 a lot, so, like, that's been popping up in my head. But, yeah, music from Prime 2, I can think of Torvus Bog Depths, Sanctuary Fortress had such a banger theme. Like, there are literally days at work where I got my AirPods in, and I literally just pull up the Metroid Prime 2 OST, and I just listen and just jam out with that. The Chuckya fight. And the Quadraxis fight, you know, battle themes. It's just, there's just, like, I could just, and, like, and, Prime 1's music as well, Phendrana Drifts, like, in particular, always, like, it's just so good, you know, it's like, and then Phendrana Drifts Depths, like, is super groovy, it's just so, like, and then you ask me about Prime 4, and it's like, what's, like, the most iconic, like, piece of music from Prime 4, and the only thing I can really think of, and, like, is just the title theme, and that's it. It's like, there wasn't really, like I don't even know. It was just such a mess for me. Like, I know they from like, it's like, I know they probably put a lot of effort into the soundtrack because, like, it does sound very grandiose at points and is very, Metroid Prime. It's like, I don't know, it felt like, I don't know, there just wasn't a lot of memorable sounds for me. It's like, I just wasn't a fan of the music in Prime 4, which really sucks because, like, there's a lot of good music in the past 3 Prime games that I enjoyed a lot, and it's just, yeah. But that's all that I had for all my notes for, like, the good and the bad of Prime 4. Again, like, would rate this game as 6.5, like, 7 on a good day out of 10. I feel really bad for playing this, like, for rating this game, like, really low, because I did genuinely enjoy it, and my first impressions of it were really good at several points, but, just in retrospect, looking back and thinking about everything, it's like, there was, like, actually just so much that was just blah, that it's just not great, and I wish they could have done it better, because, like, I want this game to do good, because I love Metroid Prime, and I want there to be a Prime 5, and I feel like if the game doesn't do good, like, why the fuck would they greenlight another Prime game if, I don't know, it's like a lot of, like, movie series, like, where you get a trilogy and the first 3 movies are great, but then the 4th movie comes out, like, many, many years later and it turns out to be shit. It's like, it's kind of what Prime 4 feels like, but who knows? Maybe in Prime 5, maybe Prime 5 will, like, I just really want them to realize the problems that don't just drop the open world bit. If there's going to be a Prime 5, please drop the open world and just look at Primes 1 and 2. Look at Primes 1 and 2 the most, take the good parts from 3 and just run with it. I mean, I guess try to find what good there is in, Prime 4, which, what was the good? Visuals. Yeah, the visuals, the controls. That and, like, removal of visor upgrades, having scan. Yeah, it's like, just if they're gonna bring anything from Prime 4 into the next game, have it set, like, just have it be the visuals, man. Like, I hate it. I hate that that's, like, the only, like, standout, like, good part of the game. It's just, it makes me so sad, because I love Metroid Prime and I want it to do good, but, again, would I recommend this game? It depends. Will I replay this game? Yeah, probably. Like, I kind of don't want to, because the more I think about collecting green crystals and now knowing that that's mandatory, the less that I want to replay this game. But at the same time, it's like, well, I kind of want to, like, play it again just to 100%, the logbook, and just actually earn the secret ending, despite it. I already know it's just garbage, because it's all it does is explain Salix's backstory and his motivation, and it's like, oh, he didn't get what he wants, so he's like a pouty little shit who's just mad at Samus because she's got the bigger dick, and it's just so bad. It was so awful. I hated it so much. There's a lot that I really want them to go back. Again, if they do Prime 5, I want them to go back on so much stuff and just like look at the first 3 games and just try to replicate what made them so great. Maybe a little less than 3, because again, 3 introduced some mistakes, but just come on, man. Please let Prime 5 not be so bad. No, I'm not saying that Prime 4 was bad, but it wasn't good either. It's just okay, and that's not good for a Prime game. I hate it. I just the game just fell flat in so many ways, and yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but overall, I mean, and also $60/$70 for the Switch 2 version. Ugh. This game was really not worth. This game was not worth $60. Like, I would argue this game is worth 30, and I would be hesitant to pay more for what I had to go through. I don't know. Yeah, that's all that I really got for this. Yeah, I just feel sad, man, because I wanted this game. I wanted this game to do so good, and we've been waiting. This was like such a highly anticipated game for 9 years, and it had 6 years of development time after restarting development back at Retro, and I get that Retro, like the team that made this game, like, is not the same team that made the first 3 Primes, because it's been 18 fucking years. The old team is probably gone. I mean, it's like Rareware, you know, nowadays. It's like, oh wow, why does Banjo-Kazooie suck now? It's because, like, the entire team that made that, like, that series great is long gone and is now in another company, and it's just, I don't know. I just really hope, they see the reviews. I really hope they actually, like, take a step back and look at, hey, how did we fuck this up? Why did it not do so hot? And hopefully, if Nintendo ever approves of a Prime 5, just please let it be good, man. Because I'm just... Anyways, yeah, I'm definitely rambling at this point, so that's all that I got. Hope you all have a great day, and, yay, time to go replay Prime 2 and remember what a good Prime game was like. Ugh.